Good morning, everyone. So today we'll be talking about our pretty much the last Virtual Academy of the month, and it's going to be the last one for KETIV's fiscal year. So we'll be talking about what is new in AutoCAD 2023. I'll be your host. I am Jeff Perez. It's been a little while since I've been on one of the KETIV Virtual Academies. I haven't hosted it in a while, so I'll be your host here today. All right. So just quick little introduction before we kind of get started today. Those of you who may know me, may not know me, I am Jeff Perez. I am a customer success manager over here at KETIV Technologies. Really, my main focus here is helping our customers become successful with adopting the many solutions and products that they do purchase over here at KETIV Technologies. I do have a technical background as well. I did start KETIV as an application engineer within our support team. So you may have came across me helping within any of your various support cases that you had there. Um, Within my technical background as well, I do have an extensive background within mechanical design and engineering. I used a lot of tools from the product design and manufacturing collection, just to name a few. I used AutoCAD, P90, Plant 3D, Inventor, and Vault. So I have quite a bit of knowledge and experience there. And then I left that industry, which I was there for about 10 years, and then moved into more of an architecture, engineering, and construction industry where I used tools such as Revit and Navisworks. So I really have a full understanding of a lot of the Autodesk solutions that they provide to our customers. So yeah, it's a little bit about me. All right. So let's get started. We'll kick this off and we'll go right into our session. All right, Christina, we'll go right into the what's new inside of AutoCAD 2023.
To start, we have a couple of poll questions that Sheen will take you through to learn a little more about how you use AutoCAD.
Hi everyone, my name is Sheen. So before we start the main presentation, I would just like to quickly throw out a few polls, and let's start with the first poll. Which version of AutoCAD are you using currently? Is it AutoCAD 2023, the latest release, AutoCAD 2018 to 2022, or AutoCAD 2017 and prior? So currently we're receiving the results.
Yeah, a few of you have tried the new version.
Yep, okay, we have stopped the poll, and yeah, it seems like most of our webinar attendees are still using AutoCAD 2018 to 2022. No worries, hopefully after our webinar presentation today, I hope all of you will be more excited to try out the latest release. Okay, how about the next question? What would you like to see more for our future webinars? Is it on AutoCAD toolsets, AutoCAD tips and tricks, or information on troubleshooting common issues? Okay, we have poll results coming in. Just going to wait a few more seconds.
Tips and tricks.
Okay, yeah. Okay, it seems like from the results, a lot of our attendees today would like more information on AutoCAD tips and tricks. Your feedback is important in helping us plan for future webinars. If you have any specific topics on tips and tricks that you like us to share in future webinars, please do not hesitate to give us your feedback via the Zoom's Q&A box. Okay, let's move on to the presentation. So handing it over back to Nishan.
Thanks. In this webinar, we'll go over some of the new innovative features in AutoCAD 2023, as well as some of the helpful tools that you get with AutoCAD and why it's trusted by millions of users across the world. I'm going to cover 3 key components of what's new in AutoCAD 2023. First, I'll share how you can work faster with new CAD automations and how the specialized toolsets can speed up your work with pre-built parts and symbols and additional automations for industry-specific tasks. Second, I'll discuss the AutoCAD web and mobile apps that give you the freedom and flexibility to connect your DWG files anytime, anywhere, and on any device. And third, I'll dive into some of the newest features that'll help you work more efficiently and complete your projects faster. Let's take a look at the benefits you can see using the included toolsets. Did you know that the average productivity gain was about 63% for tasks completed using a specialized toolset? So the time savings varies by toolset, as you can see here, but customers have been able to save hundreds of hours in their processes across these 7 industries with the toolsets. Customers in AEC can benefit from the toolsets in many ways by automating floor plans, sections, elevations, wiring diagrams for associated electrical controls, using real-time error checking of connections and wiring diagrams, creating and detailing concepts, linking database data to maps and drawings, and many other built-in automations and industry-specific workflows. In design and manufacturing, customers can utilize the libraries of symbols and parts for mechanical, electrical, piping, HVAC systems, automate the alignment of parts and connections, automate the creation of bills of materials with customized columns, filters, data importing and exporting, and much more. AutoCAD and AutoCAD LT subscriptions also include the AutoCAD web and mobile apps, which provide quick and easy access to CAD drawings on any device. The apps make it possible to continue to design and draft for the most up-to-date files if you're in the field, at home, or on the go. Let's take a closer look after our next poll question.
Okay, so the next poll question would be, have you used the AutoCAD web and or mobile apps? Just the AutoCAD web app, or just the AutoCAD mobile app, or both, or no? Okay, seems like a lot of our poll results are coming in.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, a lot of people have used them. It's good to hear.
Yeah, especially for the web app. I personally really like the web app because it gives the flexibility to work on drawings even on machines that do not have the full desktop version. So I'm glad that a lot of our attendees today are using the web app. Yeah. Okay. Thank you everyone for participating in the poll, and I'll hand it over back to Nishan.
Great, thank you. Whether you're using AutoCAD for Windows, Mac, web, or a mobile device, be it an iPad, iPhone, or Android, we have the right AutoCAD for you. You can enjoy a cohesive experience across various devices and connect to your DWG files wherever you go. Additionally, you can view and edit your drawings with Autodesk Cloud and leading cloud storage providers. Only AutoCAD actually gives you the ability to open drawings from cloud providers directly into the AutoCAD web app. There's no need to separately download the drawings to a computer and open them in the desktop program if you don't want to. Now let's take a look at some of the new features in AutoCAD 2023. One of the most exciting new features is the My Insights Macro Advisor. As you're working, you can see a pop-up that will provide helpful insights to recommend features that can help you complete the steps you're working on faster by automating some of the repetitive processes or suggesting something new that you may not have tried. The pop-up will provide information to you at the right time and context. Another exciting feature for AutoCAD 2023 is Markup Import and Markup Assist. After the release of Trace last year, Markup Import and Markup Assist helps you send and implement comments and feedback from colleagues faster than ever before. You can import PDFs with comments directly into AutoCAD Desktop, or take a picture of a printed drawing using the AutoCAD mobile app to import it into your drawing. From there, AutoCAD will add the feedback as a new trace layer on your drawing, and with text recognition, you can import the text or objects into your drawing with just a few clicks. The Lisp API is also now available in the AutoCAD web app. Whether you're on the go at a job site or anywhere you decide to work, you can create your own customizations to automate sequences of steps with Lisp in the AutoCAD web app. You can load and manage Lisp files, type in Lisp commands just as you would with AutoCAD on your desktop to save time and complete your designs faster. This feature is actually exclusive to AutoCAD subscribers. We've also added several upgrades to some of our existing features like Trace, Share, Floating Windows, and the Sheet Set Manager. In the Floating Windows feature we released last year, you can now see the command line in your active window to make it easier to see which drawing you're working on, and you can make your windows the same size every time for easier organization. In Count, you can automate the counting of blocks or objects within a selected area or throughout your entire drawing with a menu to identify errors and navigate through your counted objects. The Sheet Set Manager now allows you to open sheet sets quicker than ever before. Using the Autodesk Cloud Platform, sending and opening sheet sets to and from teammates is quicker and safer. With all these updates, AutoCAD 2023 is making it easier for you to work more efficiently. And with AutoCAD LT 2023, you get many of the same innovative features as AutoCAD, such as the popular Floating Windows feature, Trace, Count, and best-in-class 2D drafting software for precision and speed. You also get the web and mobile apps, so you can take the power of AutoCAD with you and design wherever you go. Now let's take a look at some of the new features with a demonstration.
Thank you, Nishan, for giving a great introduction. So moving on, next, Sophia and I will be introducing some of the main features and enhancements included in our latest 2023 release. We'll be going through 5 main topics, some general information on system requirements, enhancements to trace, the new markup import and assist feature, macro advisor, as well as some drawing enhancements. Sophia and I will also be doing a few demonstrations along the way, so hopefully it will help all of you better understand how all of these features and enhancements work. So before we go deep into the main features and enhancements, I'd like to first start sharing by some general information on system requirements for the 2023 release. The first will be regarding drawing file format. AutoCAD 2023 and toolsets will continue to have AutoCAD 2018 drawing file format as the latest, so no big change on this. But for those of you who often work using the AutoCAD mechanical toolset, please do note that there will be additional mechanical file format this year due to changes made in the standards. Other than that, all other toolsets will follow suit and use the 2018 drawing file format. With regards to the operating system, AutoCAD 2023 and toolsets will be supported on Windows 11 and Windows 10 64-bit architecture. But one thing to note is that for Windows 10, 2023 will only be supported in build versions 1809 or above. Even if you try to install 2023 in any build below 1809, the installation might terminate automatically and display a notification encouraging you to update your Windows 10. But regardless, before any installation, I do recommend all of you to check the system requirements page to see if your PC meets the basic requirements necessary for AutoCAD to run. And on the registry key, last year, we had a new registry key entry R24.1 for AutoCAD 2022 release. For this year's release, it will now be R24.2. We will also continue to maintain binary compatibility with previous releases, so AutoCAD 2021 and 2022. So for those of you who have custom object ARX applications developed for these versions, there should not be any necessity to do a recompilation of your applications. But if you do have applications developed for releases 2020 and earlier, they will need to be recompiled to be used in 2023. And finally, we will also continue to support Microsoft Visual Studio 2019 version. Do note the specific development environment version required when compiling object ARX projects for use with AutoCAD 2023. Okay, so that's all the basic general information that I have. Now moving on, I'm going to touch on some enhancements with regards to trace. So as most of you would already know, the trace command is basically a feature that allows you to provide and add feedback, comments, markups to a drawing without modifying the drawing contents. The trace command was actually included in our previous release, 2022, but this time around in the 2023 version, we have included a few significant enhancements. So previously, it was only possible to create traces in AutoCAD web or mobile app, but in 2023, it's now possible to add traces within AutoCAD desktop. And not only that, we can also contribute to traces that are created by others as well. And we have also added 2 new commands related to trace, trace edit and trace view. So when you run the trace edit command, it activates the trace edit mode that will allow you to add any geometry to the trace. But when you do a trace view, AutoCAD will activate the trace view mode that allows you to make modifications to the drawing while being able to view the trace. So let's see how this works within AutoCAD itself. So now we'll open my AutoCAD 2023, and I have a sample drawing file called the floor plan .dwg, which is open in my AutoCAD 2023 right now. And in this particular drawing file, my colleague has already prepared a trace, inserted a trace into this drawing, which is why when I open the drawing file, you'll notice a bubble notification on the bottom right, notifying me that a trace was added or modified into this drawing. So to view the trace, very simple, I just need to click on the link in the bubble notification. And once I do so, you'll notice that AutoCAD will bring me to the trace environment. So how do I know that this is the trace environment? It's because there is blue border lines surrounding the drawing area right now. And on the top, you will see a trace toolbar. And within this trace toolbar, if I hover my cursor over the avatar right here, you'll notice that there is some basic information on when the trace was last modified by. In this case, it was last modified by my colleague. And in the same toolbar on the right-hand side, you'll notice that there is a new icon called the Edit Trace or View Trace icon. What this icon does is that it toggles between the two modes that I mentioned in my slide just now, which is the Trace Edit mode and the Trace View mode. So currently I'm in the Trace Edit mode. So any objects that I insert from now on into the drawing area will be part of the trace and not be part of the drawing geometry. And if you see my drawing area right now, you can see that the drawing geometry now looks slightly more faded than usual. But if you take a look at the trace object, it looks more clear and distinct. So this is one distinctive feature of the trace edit mode. So now I'm going to add a basic modification to the trace by inserting a red circle right here. I just want to remind myself to actually add more computer blocks to this particular room right here. For that assumption, I'm just going to add a red circle right here into my trace. And once I've done my modification, I'm going to close the trace environment by clicking on the green check mark right here. And once I close the trace environment, you notice that AutoCAD will bring me back to the paper space. And if I navigate to where the trace was originally located, you'll notice that you'll not be able to see the trace objects or even the red circle that I inserted just now. Simply because the red circle that I inserted is now part of the trace and not exactly part of the drawing geometry. So that's why even if I close the trace environment, you will not be able to see it. So if I want to go back to the trace, what I can do is to navigate to the Collaborate tab. And under the Collaborate tab, there is a Traces panel. And in the Traces panel, you see a Traces palette icon. Click on it and the Traces palette will appear and you'll be able to see the trace that was modifying just now, which is this door replacement. If I hover my cursor over this trace, you'll notice that there is some basic information being shown: when the trace was created by, when the trace was last modified by, and who are the contributors to this trace. So even though this trace was initially created by my colleague, because I added a red circle just now, I made some modifications, which is why I am considered a contributor to the trace. And that is why my display picture is now showing in the avatar icons right here. So to go back to the trace environment, what I can do is to double click on the trace and you'll notice that the blue borders will now show up right here. Yeah, so this, whatever I've done just now is just basically how the trace edit mode works. So just to reiterate, any object that you insert into the drawing area when trace edit mode is activated, all the objects would be part of the trace and not a part of your drawing geometry. So the next mode, which I'm going to show, would be the trace view mode. And in order to toggle to the trace view mode, I'm going to click on the icon that I shared earlier just now. And once I click on it, you will notice that there's some changes in the display. You'll notice that the drawing geometry is now more clearly visible. And if you look at the trace object right here, it's now looking slightly more faded in contrast. Yeah. So this is the trace view mode. Basically, this mode allows me to make modifications to the drawing while being able to view the trace. So I'm only able to view the trace. I'm not able to make any modifications to the trace at all. So for example, if I try to delete this particular trace object, if I try to delete, AutoCAD will tell me that no, this trace cannot be edited. Yeah, simply because I'm in the trace view mode, right? Yeah. Okay, so in my sample drawing file, I do not have a lot of trace objects available. So it's easy to view my drawing geometry. But if let's say you have a drawing file with a lot of trace objects, it can get a bit cluttered at times. So in those situations, what I suggest is to click on the avatar icons in the trace toolbar. Once you click on it, you will see the contributors to the trace. And if I hover my cursor over my name, AutoCAD will highlight the trace objects that I've created. If I hover my cursor over my colleague's name, AutoCAD will highlight the traces that my colleague has inserted. So this is one good way that users can use to differentiate which trace objects were created by who. And if let's say if you have too many trace objects in the drawing and you want to turn off the display for specific trace objects, what you can do is to toggle the icon right here, which controls the display of specific trace objects created by a specific contributor. So in this case, if I turn off the display for traces that my colleague created, you'll notice that it will disappear from the drawing area. Yeah, so this is one cool feature that I recommend all of you to use. And within the trace view mode, you will, I'm sorry. Yeah, so this is the trace view mode, sorry, yeah. So just now, I inserted a new red circle right here to remind myself to insert a few more computer blocks, right? So what I'm going to do now is to insert a few blocks right now. I'm going to scale because they're a bit too big. And here, so I've inserted a PC block right here into the drawing area when the trace view mode is activated. And now what I'm going to do is to close the trace environment. So I'm going to click on the green check mark box right here, and you'll notice that the trace environment is now closed. But even if I close the trace environment, you notice that the block that I just inserted is still visible. Why? Because I've inserted it as a drawing geometry and it's not part of the trace. So just to reiterate, in the trace view mode, you will only be able to see your traces, and whatever objects that you insert will be part of your drawing geometry, which is why I'm able to see it now. Okay, so basically up to now, the demonstration was mainly on modifications made to an existing trace. But of course, for this particular release, as mentioned earlier, you can also create traces, new traces within the desktop version. And if you want to create a new trace from scratch, what you can do is to navigate to the traces palette on the left-hand side. If you hover your cursor over here, you can see there's a new icon called Create Trace. Click on it and you'll be able to create a new trace from scratch. And this was not possible in the 2022 release, so this is an enhancement. Okay, so that's all I have for the traces demonstration. I hope the trace feature will prove to be a convenient one when it comes to drafting and collaboration. Okay, now let's go back to the presentation slide. And moving on, the next topic that I will touch on will be a new feature called Markup Import and Markup Assist. What this new feature does is that it uses machine learning to identify markups, convert them into objects AutoCAD recognizes, and provides a way to view and insert these markups into a drawing easily. Even though Markup Import and Assist may seem like two different features, no. Markup Assist is contained within Markup Import, which can be found within the Collaborate tab in the AutoCAD ribbon. Basically, the workflow works something like this. So take, for example, if you have an image file, which is a scan of a drawing file that has a few handwritten markups on it. With this feature, what you can do is that you can import the image file with the handwritten markups into the drawing using Markup Import. And once imported, you will then automatically enter the trace environment with the image file aligned on top of the drawing in a new trace. And AutoCAD will then identify the location of these markups and align the imported image file correctly to the drawing. Even if you find that the image is not aligned correctly, don't worry, there are actually additional tools like move, align, rotate, or scale available for you to manually adjust the location of your imported image file. And in the trace environment, Markup Assist will kick in and detect, identify the handwritten markups and provide options for you to convert them into AutoCAD objects, like, for example, text, leaders, or revision cloud objects. And there are also options for you to adjust the background transparency for better visibility. And not only can you use this feature with an image file like PNG or JPEG, you can also do this with a PDF that has text or revision notes added just as easily as well. And once you have the markup imported, you can turn on the Markup Assist mode using the lightning icon, as shown on the slide, to detect and identify the handwritten markups. If the markup is identified to be a text object, there'll be options for you to insert it as an mleader, mtext, or simply copy the text to the clipboard for later use. If the markup is identified to be a revision cloud, you can insert the object as a ref cloud object into the drawing. But one thing to take note is that the objects inserted will be part of the drawing geometry and not part of the trace. And for this feature, we also do have some new commands and system variables which are listed on the slide. I'll not go through each of them in detail, but if you're interested, please take a look when you receive the slide deck after the presentation. So without further ado, let's take a quick look at how Markup Import and Assist works in AutoCAD 2023. So I'm going to open my AutoCAD 2023 and I'm going to continue using the same sample drawing, which is floorplan.dwg. And what I'm going to do now is to import an image file with a few handwritten markups. So to do that, I'm going to go to the Collaborate tab. In the Collaborate tab, under the same Traces panel, you will see this Markup Import icon. You can click on this icon, or under the Traces palette, you also see this Import Markup into a Trace button. Either icon works, but for demonstration purposes, I'm just going to go with the Markup Import right here. And once I click on the Markup Import icon, you'll notice that AutoCAD prompts me to select the markup file to import. I've already prepared an image file called area markup.png, which is a scan of the same sample drawing file, but with a few handwritten markups in red, as you can see in the preview. And if I click open, AutoCAD will process the image file. And you will notice that it brings me back to the same trace environment that I was talking about earlier. And when you notice, if you look at the traces palette on the left-hand side, you will see a new trace 4 with the current timestamp. So what AutoCAD did was that it imported the markup file as a new trace. And I'm currently in the trace edit mode. And now it's prompting me to accept the placement of the imported image file. So as mentioned earlier, if you find that the imported image file is not placed correctly, what you can do is to manually adjust it. You can move, align, rotate, scale by yourselves. But in this case, because my image file looks perfectly fine, so I'm just going to go ahead and accept it. Yeah, so yeah, I've accepted the placement and now I'm in the trace edit mode. So the imported file is still part of the trace. So if I close the trace environment, you will notice that the imported file, it will disappear because it's still part of the trace. If I want to convert my handwritten markups into proper AutoCAD objects and be part of the drawing geometry, what I need to do is to go back to the trace environment by clicking on the new trace that was created, and toggle from the trace edit mode to the trace view mode by clicking on this icon that I've shared earlier just now. And once I do so, you will notice that there are a few dashed lines appearing around the imported image file, as well as my handwritten markups. Yeah. So because my image file doesn't have a lot of handwritten markups, it's easy to see which are my handwritten markups. But for example, if you have an image file which has a lot of handwritten markups on it, it can get quite difficult to actually see the drawing geometry below, or even determine which is drawing geometry and which is your markup. In that situation, what I recommend all of you to do is to navigate to this gear settings icon. Once you click on it, there is a control available for you to change the transparency of the drawing background. So notice that when I change the transparency, the drawing geometry behind the imported image file, there is much less contrast and it will look more faded than usual. So this helps me to be able to visualize or determine which are the handwritten markups that I have imported. Yeah. Okay, so and within this trace view mode, you will also notice that there is a new icon in the trace toolbar right here, the lightning bolt icon. So this icon symbolizes the markup assist mode. Currently it's on, that's why it's yellow. If it's off, it will be gray. So what Markup Assist does is that it uses machine learning to determine if there are any handwritten markups in the imported image that can be converted into AutoCAD objects. In this case, it has identified a few objects and has surrounded them with blue dashed lines, as you can see in the drawing area right here. So take, for example, Markup Assist has identified this handwritten text to be a text object, and it's suggesting me to convert this to text to be removed. And there are a few options available to insert it as an M leader or insert as M text, or just simply copy the text to a clipboard. For this demonstration, I'm just going to insert it as an M leader. Once I click on it, AutoCAD will prompt me to specify the arrowhead location and the landing location, and that's it. And that's how I was, so that's how I'm able to actually convert the handwritten text to a proper AutoCAD object, which is an M leader right here. How cool is that? Okay, and Markup Assist does not only work for handwritten text, it also recognizes other objects like ref clouds. So if I hover my cursor over this blue dash line right here and click on it, you'll notice that Markup Assist is suggesting to me to insert this as a ref cloud. If I click on the blue button, you'll notice that AutoCAD actually created a new red ref cloud along the blue dash lines right here. And so this is how I can convert a handwritten ref cloud object into a proper AutoCAD ref cloud object that is inserted into my drawing file. And what I'm going to do is to go ahead and close the trace environment. And you'll notice that the objects that I have just converted are now visible within the drawing geometry itself. Why? Because Markup Assist works in the trace view mode. And as mentioned earlier, any objects that you create in the trace view mode will be part of the drawing geometry, which is why even if I close the trace environment, I am still able to see my objects right here. Okay, so that's basically how Markup Import and Assist works. Even though all of the demonstrations I've done up to now are mainly done in the paper space, do not worry, the same features can be used in the model space as well. So please do not think that Markup Import and Assist is specific to paper space. No, they can be used in model space as well. Yeah, so hopefully this new feature will help reduce the amount of effort in transferring your handwritten markups to your drawing, especially for your team discussions and collaboration. Now I'll pass on the time to Sophia, who will introduce the two remaining features, Macro Advisor and a few drawing enhancements. Sophia, please. Thanks.
Thanks, Shin, for your great presentation. Next topic I'm going to cover is Macro Advisor. This is a new cool feature which can provide suggested comment macros based on the context of your workflow and your usage history. A comment macro contains the sequence of comments and the various system variables in one comment that help to automate tasks that you perform frequently and repetitively while working in AutoCAD. So on the right side of the image, you can see the comment macro palettes to view, try, and save suggested comment macros. Comment macros can be added to the Save tab of the comment macros palette for use and can also be added to the ribbon. Please note that this feature is supported on AutoCAD only at this time and is not available for AutoCAD-based toolset or AutoCAD LT. But in addition, you must have commercial license and then be on the named user plan to receive insights. So there are two tabs in Comment Macros palette, which are Insight tab and then Save tab. So in the Insight tab, you will receive the suggest macros, and then you can expand each micro insights to see the descriptions and then see its associated new comment macro. You can click Try to test a comment macro before Save, or click Save to add the comment macros to the Save tab. After a comment macro has been added to the Save tab, you can execute the comment macros by clicking the associated button and edit the comment macros through properties in the macro string, and also can edit the comment macros to the ribbon from the Save tab. We have new comments and the system variables for this Macro Advisor feature. These new comments can open and close the comment macros palette, and we have also new system variables which can control the macro state and insight support or notifications and etc. Without further ado, let's test these new features on AutoCAD 2023. So here I open AutoCAD 2023. And if you want to open the comment macro palettes, you can go to View tab. And then in the palette section, you'll see the comment macros. And also you can type command macros from the command line, and you will see the command macros palette. As I mentioned, there are two palettes, saved and an insights tab. So in the insights tab, usually macro insights will detect the sequence of commands that has been frequently used and then list them down here to do with the 2 sample macros as a default here. However, because this is a fresh new installation, so there's no suggested macro in my list yet. But as you use the software, the Macro Insights Advisor will suggest the relevant and then time-saving macros available for you. Let's have a look at the sample macro here. If you click on ellipsis, you have 3 options: try, save, dismiss. So if you click on try, we'll run the macro, and save will save the macro to the save tab, and then dismiss will remove the macros from the palette. For this one, please be careful because once you dismiss the macro, you will no longer be able to use it for the future use. Okay. So let's have a look at the micro inside. If you expand, you will see the details of micro, like description and then syntax that used to create the micro, an option to rate the micro, like with a thumbs up, thumbs down, and then you have save try button. So if you want to test it, let's say if you have rectangle here in your drawing, and want to try copy rotate previous, then click on try button, then AutoCAD will execute the command for you. Then if you look at the command line, just follow the instructions, select object, which is rectangle, and then pick the base point, then copy the object into another area, then it immediately prompts you the rotation angle. Because the second part of the macro is to rotate. So I can just key in the angle like so, then it's done. So this is how we test the macro before we save. So as you could see, we just saved a few steps to copy and rotate in one command. And then it's very easy to use as long as you follow the command prompt instruction well. So let's say if you like this macro and intend to use for the future drawings, you can just click on save here. Then it will go to the save tab, and then like there are additional options to control from this page, like add to ribbon, comment micro editor, edit in CUI, rename, delete, run micro. So let's have a look at the comment micro editor first. And then you see that like you have following fields can be modified, like name, description, image, to replace the default image with the customized bitmap, like BMP files, and the micro itself. So if you expand here, you can see the syntax for the micro, which can be modified in the text field, like so. So if you are familiar with the customization, please go ahead and modify, okay? All right, so when you finish editing, you can just use this command simply by clicking on this command from the Save tab, or like this. Or you can also edit into the ribbon. Then it will go to the automation tab from the ribbon, and then it gives you the alternative place to access all of your saved macros from the ribbon. So you can also click to execute the command from ribbon and then Save tab. Besides that, you can also add macro directly into the classic AutoCAD CUI with the edit in CUI feature here. Then you will see the new macro commands from the command list. And then you can edit the macro string from the properties as well. And also you can add the command to quick access toolbar, ribbon, and toolbars itself. So CUI editor can seem a little complex, but don't worry about it. We have in-product help documentation to assist with the learning how to customize commands. Like, let me open up the help documentation. And if you search for about command macro strings article, and if you go inside, we have the resources are available for modifying existing macros and learning to create the new macros. So please feel free to explore. I believe this will give you the basic information on the command customizations. Okay. So that's about the common macros. And these automation features are to help users to doing the things that you enjoy and getting values from. And then we are trying to make sure you're as proficient and efficient in the product as you can possibly be. So please do not miss out any macros notifications from the bubble on the right side and save them for the future use. Okay, let's go back to the presentation for the next features. Which are 5 new enhancements for draw and modify tools in AutoCAD and AutoCAD LT 2023. The first one is a new cut-based command which can be copy object with the specified base point and then remove them from the drawing. And the next one is the mleader command that can convert existing M text to a new mleader. And you have a new grip option called extend vertex for polyline, and this can help to add the vertex from any endpoint. So people used to reverse the polyline directions to get the right outcome, but now it's no longer necessary because extending the polyline is available from both sides. Next one is arc text. It was available in AutoCAD only, but it is now available in AutoCAD LT as well. The last but not least, Ono scale zoom is a new system variable which can be used, which can use the predefined scale factors that are listed in the viewport scale list instead of random scale numbers when zooming in and out from the viewport. So let me demonstrate these features in AutoCAD LT 2023. Okay, I will start with Ono scale zoom feature. So I'm in the floor plan that she used, and then I'm also in the layout space, in the paper space. And if you click on the viewport on the status bar, you can see that 1 to 200 scale factor is configured. And if you double click on the viewport and then using the mouse wheel to zooming in and out, you can see that it changes with the random decimal numbers. However, if you turn on the Ono scale system variable, Ono scale zoom system variable, and change the value to on, then if you try again to zoom in and out, then you can see that is changing using the scale factors now. So scale factors used here are predefined within the scale list, and then it will also respect the custom scale factors as well. So let's create one custom scale to test. So if you go over here, you can see the custom from the scale list. Then you can add custom scale with the add button. Let's say if you want to add 1 to 60 scale factor, then the paper unit need to be 1 and then drawing unit should be 60. And click OK, then it will create 1, but it's not in the right place. So you can move down to place it in between 50 and 100. Click OK, then let's see if it can see the 160. So if you zoom in and out, yep, there you go. So you can see that the edit custom scale factor 1 to 60 that we just created is captured. So this is how it works with Ono scale zoom system variable. And then let's move on to the next feature. So here we have the text string that I have prepared, and this is actually M text if you see from the properties. And if you want to convert this into the M leader, just type M leader from the command line, and then you can select the option, select M text, or you can just type M from the command line. Then it will activate the command, and then you can select the object you want to convert into. Done. So if you choose the arrowhead point, then it's just the M leader, just converted in from the M text into M leader. How simple is that? Okay, so next one I want to introduce is the polyline extend enhancement. So if you see the polyline and then check the vertex, the left one is the first one, and the second one in the middle, and the third one on the right side. So this is the direction of the polyline, and if you hover your mouse over to the other end, you'll see the options to modify the vertices. So you have stretch, add, remove. So those three are already in the previous release, and then this extend vertex is new for 2023. So before, the people used to use add vertex to extend the polyline, but in the last end, it was possible. But if you want to try it from the first vertex, then it's not working as expected because of the direction of the polyline. So in previous release, it was necessary to reverse the direction of the polyline first to get the expected region. But in 2023, we have extend vertex option. So it's just working on both sides, and you can easily extend the polyline from both sides. It's very handy. All right, and the next one I want to introduce is cut base. If you go to the context menu from the right mouse click, you can go to clipboard and you see the cut with base point. It's similar to copy with base point, but now we are doing the cut. So then it's asking you to specify the base point. I'll use the emulator that I just created. Endpoint, endpoint, and select the object. Enter. Then it will remove the object from the drawing. And if you want to bring it back, just right click and go to clipboard again. And then you can click on paste to bring it back with the base point. Then you can just place it wherever you desire. How simple is that? Yep. And then our last enhancement is the arc text for AutoCAD LT. So AutoCAD, this arc text is available for AutoCAD before, but it is now incorporated in AutoCAD LT as well. So it is accessible from command line like arc text, and you can use this command with the arc in AutoCAD LT, and also you can see from the properties that like it used to be shown as proxy objects, but now you can see that arc aligned text is configured properly. You can also change the content like this. Yep. Cool. So that was all we had to demonstrate today. So thank you so much for your listening. And hopefully these new features can save your valuable time and then advance your drafting skills. I'll pass my time to Nishant, who will share more information about the product benefits. Thank you.
Thanks, Sophia. That was a great presentation. Having a subscription to AutoCAD 2023 has many benefits for you. You can access support specialists, the latest updates, flexible term lengths, and administrative tools to easily manage your licenses, seats, and usage. We also understand that Autodesk products are unique and tailored to each of the industries we serve. That's why we set out to create a way for users to have more flexibility when it comes to the purchasing costs and commitments of the products. For example, engineering firms may have designers who use AutoCAD all day long alongside reviewers or project managers who might only need it for a few hours a week. For challenges like that, we developed Flex with these three key benefits in mind: providing access for occasional users and specialized product use, access to top products and the ability to try new products without a significant upfront cost, and providing an option to closely align and optimize usage costs. Flex customers can buy tokens in predefined quantities that you can use as you need them.
And that is everything. What we'll do is jump into some question and answers. Everyone, let me share my screen. Hopefully that was pretty insightful for everyone. I am a little bit jealous myself on some of the different new features that got added that I wish I could have taken advantage of when I was leveraging the software quite a bit at my previous companies. Well, let's take some time. Is there any questions and answering, or any questions and answers that we can help address for anyone that was able to join today's session?
Great. Thank you, Jeff, for leading the session. And thank you everyone for joining today's session. If you guys have any more questions, you guys can contact support@ketiv.com.
Thank you, everyone. We appreciate it. Thanks for joining today.
Bye.